Much appreciated that you join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, we're coming to you from the studios that First Star Logistics provides for us, and they're second to none. And we have a really good guest for you today. He's second to none. This guy's a tackling machine. I'm telling you now, he comes downhill, plays that run exceptionally well, very athletic. He's got 11 interceptions since he entered the league, which is most for any linebacker. So Logan Wilson plays both ends of things, and Logan Wilson right now is battling the rehabilitation of a knee injury. There's some cartilage issues in that knee. He got it cleaned out, and he won't be playing for the rest of the season for the Cincinnati Bengals. But I wanted to catch up with him and get his perspective on what he thought of the Monday night football performance by the Cincinnati Bengals, both offensively and defensively. And man, it ended up turning into almost a scouting report, about key players on both sides of the football. And Logan Wilson obviously was totally focused on watching that football game and living and dying with every defensive snap, I'm sure. Logan Wilson has a lot of good things to say about the Cincinnati Bengals as a football team. And no one knows the team better than a teammate. Logan Wilson is definitely a good teammate. We know there are a lot of things you could be doing with your time, so we really do appreciate it when you decide to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham. And boy, did you make a great decision today, because we have the great Logan Wilson joining us, who is rehabbing as such right now, dealing with a knee injury that he got fixed. And first of all, welcome, sir, and hope you're feeling pretty well.
Thank you. I'm feeling better. I'm on the mend, so I definitely needed to get that surgery done.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've been dealing with it for a while. I mean, it goes back to last season, doesn't it? You're a tough guy, man. I remember I had torn cartilage in both my knees that I had to get scoped out of there. And it's not pleasant dealing with it before you finally have to go get that procedure. And you'd been dealing with that for a long time, hadn't you?
Yeah, I think it's just gotten, obviously playing football, it's gotten progressively worse. So it just got to the point where I couldn't even get in my stance comfortably, and so I knew I needed to just get it cleaned out now, because if I can't get my stance comfortably, it's probably not going to be able to play well on Sundays. So
right. I had my cartilage. I had like a tear that kept locking up in the joint. Did you have that kind of thing? Did you have particles, pieces of it that were like locking in the joint? What were you experiencing there?
I didn't ever have anything that was like locking up my knee. It was just, there was a piece that broke off, and so and they said like I think it was my trochlear groove was worse once they got in than they initially thought based on MRI. And I just remember that the doc was like, after he did it, he said he was very, very happy that we got it done now versus later.
And I'll tell you, when stuff's floating around like that in your knee, it's not comfortable.
No, yeah, mine wasn't like a big chunk, but it was there's still a piece in there that was floating around.
Yeah, it's so you're already into rehab, I'm sure. I know you attack everything. Whatever you do it 1,000%. There's no question about that. So I'm sure the people are like, oh man, this is one of the quickest recoveries we've ever dealt with. This guy's great.
Yeah, I mean, luckily with this surgery, I mean, I was pretty much walking right after surgery. So I flew out Wednesday and then came back Friday morning, had surgery Thursday morning. So really just a day to kind of feel it out, and have been back, and then just kind of slowly starting the rehab process.
So you're on injured, reserve injured, whatever you want to call it right now. That's 4 games, right? I mean, minimum of 4 games. Are you thinking that you may be able to come back and play, or is that kind of like, that's foolhardy, man?
Yeah, probably not. Based on what the doc said, he said that he probably need to do a full 6 weeks to let the cartilage kind of heal in there.
Right.
Based on after, maybe initially before surgery, he thought that was a possibility, but after getting in there, it was just time to let her heal.
Yeah, you said what was that thing that you said was worse that they thought it was when they get in there, and I probably once they had to probably mess with that. It's that's a little bit more than they probably anticipated, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I just think it was. I mean, I know my body pretty well, and I know when it's not working properly, and so I just kind of went with my gut on this one to get it fixed, and it already feels better than it did. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So there'll be you'll probably come back maybe even better than you were before, because I mean playing with that type of a problem, it's amazing the level that you still are able to play at, a guy like yourself. But man, now with total freedom as such, it's gonna feel a lot different. You'll be flying around even more and faster than you have ever.
hopefully that's the case.
I guarantee you, man. There's no doubt. All right, so unfortunately, I remember what it was like. I missed a game after that had a knee scope, and it was tough watching on television. You got your teammates. You just you want to be part of it. You want to make a contribution. You want to help. And man, every series, every play, kind of I like the ups and downs of following the thing. What was it like for you watching your teammates out there in Dallas?
Yeah, I mean it's different, watching the game next to my wife at home while
Right.
everyone else is in Dallas. I think it's obviously you wanna be out there and help and contribute, and but at the same time knowing that I'm not at a you're not always 100%, but not at a percentage where I feel like I can actually help the team. I feel
Right.
like I'm hurting the team by going out there, and so I'm pretty I'm really good with my decision that I made to just get it cleaned out now versus later.
Absolutely. So as you're watching the game, I'm sure as plays unfolded, you're like, okay, I know what the call was now, and I know what we're trying to get done now. I mean, you're probably thinking along with Lou, and like you do during the course of a game. I mean, you're the guy. You're the guy with the green dot. You're the guy that he communicates with. I mean, everything runs through Logan Wilson when you're out there on the football field. So I'm sure when you were watching your defensive teammates, it was like you knew exactly what the intention was, and if the result didn't meet the intention or expectation, I'm sure it's like, oh man, let's make another play here. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a better understanding of what's going on. Sometimes with the camera angles, they switch to back and forth. You can't always see the whole picture, which is just part of it. But it always is a different. I think ever since I got into this level of football, I feel like when you watch football, you just don't watch it the same as you used to. You usually watch it with a more like relaxed mindset, just kind of enjoying. But now it's like you watch it with the schematics of what's involved, who should have been where, who should have made the tackle, all those different types of things that go throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, I know when I'm watching the game with my friends or family, I'll like talk about stuff almost like I'm doing the game, like I'm broadcasting the game or having
Yeah.
the game, whatever. And they'll be, dude, you're not working,
They're
like,
like, dude, relax.
yeah, just enjoy this, man. You're not on the clock. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's like, but it is the game, man. The game's so fascinating, and man, when you get hooked, you get hooked. So let's talk about the defense a little bit. Obviously, it was a challenge to stop the run yesterday. 25 rushes for 156 yards. Dowdle had 18 carries, 131 yards. He averaged 7.3. They averaged 6.2 as a team. And man, that kid, five, whatever he was, 5-0, about 150 pounds. Turpin. I mean, that guy, man, he's a blur. That guy has got so much speed.
He's an explosive play waiting to happen.
Oh man, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What did you think? Were the issues more? And I know it's not like you had tape that you studied and all that kind of thing, but do you think it was more not fitting gaps properly or getting handled physically or a combination as always? What was your perception of it?
I mean, I feel like it's always a combination on certain plays. I just think that there's too many times where we don't have good gap integrity, meaning guys get bumped out of gaps and then there's an open lane for the running back to hit. And then, sometimes you get too much push up front and then by the time they're getting tackled, it's 5 yards, 6 yards, and that's just too much. And, I feel like a lot of it's kind of been similar reoccurring themes in some form or fashion throughout the entire season. And it's unfortunate. It sucks, but they're just continuing to go to work, and that's all you really can do at this point is just try to find ways to get better. I know it gets monotonous of hearing the same things over and over, but when guys start pointing fingers at each other, everyone starts to fall apart, and it's never good for the betterment of the team. And I think that we understand that. We're just continuing to just find ways to get better on defense, and unfortunately, the season hasn't gone the way we wanted to. So just continuing to work.
I think, in a way, I was thinking this during the course of the football game because Dallas, they were tackling or tacking, I should say, between the tackles. I mean, they were getting downhill going north and south, and I'm like, all right, well, they're probing a little bit. They know 55's, the leading tackler on the football team, and they're missing him in there, potentially at the point of attack. Let's probe a little bit and see what we might get out of it. I mean, is that what you probably didn't have an opportunity to study them as much as normal, obviously, with what was going on with you, but is that where their running game is normally successfully? Are they a downhill between the tackles type running attack?
You talking about Dallas?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure. I didn't really watch a lot of film on them.
Right.
Because I was more trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do with this knee, and then I was out in Houston and just back and forth. So I didn't really see much of what they've done all year. I didn't see any like their stats and all that stuff because I was obviously placed on IR, so I wasn't really in tune with the game plan that week just because of everything else I had going on.
Right. And I know that the two guys obviously that they targeted, they said, okay, there are two guys we got to make sure that we don't let be a factor in the football game. That's Dowdle at running back, and obviously he had himself a pretty good football game. And then CD Lamb targeted 7 times, 6 catches for 93 yards, averaged 15.5 yards, and had a touchdown reception, had a long of 43 yards. Those two guys are kind of the kingpins, of the running game and the passing game. And you did enough, obviously, defensively, held them at 20 points, did enough to win the football game for sure. Overall, you felt like, and finally, Lady Luck, or the football gods, finally showed up on that.
Break.
Oh, my gosh, man. I mean, former Bengal Nick Vigil, he gets his hand on that football. And Muma, I got to give Muma credit. He whiffed, and Vigil got it. But Muma didn't quit on it, and he's the guy that ends up recovering. And
yeah.
It teaches you, never give up on a play when you're playing the game of football. But man, what a swing of highs and lows. Darren Simmons is probably thinking, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" Then, and on the opposite side of the things, Bones over there, their special teams coaches, he's thinking he's euphoric, and then all of a sudden he's down in the dumps. I mean, that's the game of football, right?
Yeah, the ebbs and flows. You got to be able to manage them. It's just kind of how the nature of the beast that we deal with.
Yeah, I mean that fumble was huge. I mean, it gave the Bengals an advantage, 2-1 in the turnover department. 2 takeaways, 1 giveaway, finished the game +1 in that department. And then the Cowboys went for it twice on 4th down. They converted one, and the Bengals stopped them on the other. And the Bengals went for it one time. They didn't convert on 4th down. So, that's Dallas was basically +1 there on their stop. So, I mean, in terms of that type of thing, turnovers, 4th down stops, all that, it was an even Steven game. And that's pretty much how the game played out. I mean, it was like, the special teams play, that all-important third phase of it, ended up being a deciding factor in the football game.
Yeah, I know. And when I saw it get blocked, I was just like, there's just no way. I mean, we just can't catch a break. And then we finally caught a break and found a way to get a win, which is good for the morale in the locker room, especially for guys that are still playing and going to work every day, trying to find a way to just get a win at the end of the day. We just haven't caught a whole lot of luck this year, and that's just kind of how it's gone. So I think that was a good win for us on Monday night. Yeah,
there's no doubt. I mean, 1-7 in games decided by 7 points or less. And now 2-7, get that W, and it's not easy down there in Dallas. I mean, going in, the team was 1-7 against the Cowboys as well down there in Dallas, and had lost 5 in a row. So to stop that streak was good as well because, as we know, Dallas is America's team. Monday Night Football, and I'm sure that had to, there's games that you kind of circle at the beginning of the season once the schedule comes out, and when you're on Sunday night, Monday night, as a player, you like Joe Burrow was talking about, get a chance to show the nation and the world really what kind of player that you are. That has to be a tough one to miss. I mean, I'm sure you're probably looking forward to playing Dallas on Monday Night Football in front of your friends and family and everybody to see.
Yeah, I mean, I had quite a bit of friends and family that came out for that game, and they still went to the game because it was like late notice that I wasn't, playing or going to be on IR. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like I'm not going to sit and dwell about it and be sad about it. It's just kind of the nature of what we're dealing with, and I'm very, like I said, I'm very confident in the decision I made to get this thing cleaned out because I needed it. I'll stand by it.
Absolutely. I mean, you're going to be much better for it as well. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
It's sometimes when you get something that you're favoring a little bit, all of a sudden something else crops up. I've been there as well. It's like, now it's like, oh man, I wish I
the domino effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, man, what's it like when you have a very physical football game, and you have the long week to prepare for Dallas, but then you're playing a very physical football game. You go to bed, at the wee hours of Tuesday morning, and you have a short week to recover. What's that like as you get ready to go play the Tennessee Titans on the road as well? I mean, back-to-back road games with a short week in there. That's a different preparation, isn't it?
Everything's a little more condensed, but it's honestly, it's not the worst type of turnaround you have during an NFL season. I feel like you just play Monday and then you just have one less day essentially versus like when you have to play Sunday and then play Thursday. I mean, everything's condensed. Like,
yeah,
we played Thursday. I got 2 massages in one day. Like, your off days change, like today's player off day. So it's a normal week in terms of that. Like, normal player off day is Tuesday. And then I think Wednesday is just a later start, just to allow the coaches to get the game plan in and installed. And then I don't know if they'll practice tomorrow, but Zach usually does a good job of balancing that and taking care of the guys and getting load and wear and tear off of their legs and whatnot. So, yeah, honestly, a Monday night to Sunday night game isn't the worst. It's not. I mean, obviously, it's not ideal.
right.
It's definitely not the worst one that you experience throughout a season.
Yeah, you're right. The schedule is they're going to, they have today off. Wednesday they have a later a day. It's a walkthrough practice, nothing physical over at the IEL. A little walkthrough, and it's more of a mental prep time more than anything, and get your body right for Tennessee for the next opponent.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. I mean, you're in the locker room with this guy every day. You're on the football field with this guy every day at practice. Joe Burrow is playing ridiculously well. I mean, his game, and Mike Zimmer, his defense, his schematic, it really challenges you. I mean, it's a grind. You're so mentally exhausted when you finish that football game. Trying to recognize everything that he's doing with all his pressure packages, and then the physical exhaustion of it. And Joe Burrow played at such a high level, man. What's his prep like during the course of the week? What's his focus like?
I mean, he's always locked in. Obviously, I'm not in meetings or
right.
Any offensive stuff, so I don't really see what he's like in those rooms. But I'm sure he's the same guy that he is. When he's on the field, he's always dialed in. I used to catch passes from him before practices, and so if one pass didn't hit you in the hands where he wanted it to hit you, like, he would redo the throw. I just think that's just how he operates, and obviously what has worked for him.
It's amazing the numbers that he's putting up. I mean, they're historic. He's got another 3-touchdown passing game. So now he's got 4 of those. He's got 1 4-touchdown passing game. He's got 2 5-touchdown passing games. I mean, 4 games in a row now. He's thrown for over 300 yards and 3 or more touchdowns. I mean, it's guys like Brady, Mahomes. I mean, he's in lofty company doing these kind of things. Is it just you can't take it for granted? But I guess everybody expects him to perform at that level, I guess.
No, we definitely don't take it for granted. I just think that's just the caliber of player he is, and that's why he was drafted number 1 overall in our draft class. And I mean, he literally was doing that in that final year at LSU. So I think it's just he just kind of continued, and he's always found ways and stuff within his game, little things that he can continue to get better at. And I feel like when you have a work ethic like that, you're going to be pretty successful in whatever you do.
So when you're practicing against him, and the progression, when his eyes, his eye progression, his process, the way he reads the football field, does anybody read it any faster than he does?
I don't know. That's hard. That's a hard thing to compare, but I just think the elite quarterbacks, the upper tier of quarterbacks, they know where they're going with the ball pre-snap. So it doesn't really necessarily matter where you're going or what you're about to do, because they typically know what coverage you're in. Sometimes you can disguise them and get them messed up, but he's good at seeing all that late rotation, all that stuff. Safety's dropping in, going high, whatever it is. He sees it all, and he's able to get the ball out about quick and efficient. And that's not to discredit him being in the pocket and seeing all the guys around him and trying to make guys miss, that are trying to tackle him and get the ball off him. So he's been elite at what he does for a reason.
Speaking of trying to tackle, what do you think it'd be like trying to tackle Jamar Chase? I don't think there's a stronger runner. Throw all the running backs out there as well. He's amongst the strongest runners with that lower body that he has, as there is in the National Football League. The guy's a freak, isn't he?
Yeah, I feel like he has the breaking tackle ability of a running back, but he plays receiver, and then he has obviously all the gifts in the world to be an elite receiver. So he's playing lights out as well.
Yeah, these two guys, crazy numbers. Joe's on the night 33 for 44. That's 75%. If Mrs. Riley taught me how to divide fractions right there in the old elementary school days. 369 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 112.8 quarterback rating. Jamar Chase targeted 18 times, 14 catches, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe's now got 33 touchdowns passing, and Jamar Chase has 15 touchdowns receiving. Carl Pickens has the team record with 17 receiving touchdowns in a single season. That's going to fall. He's got a month left of games for Jamar Chase. It is crazy the level these guys are playing. There's not a better combination, a better duo, quarterback receiver in the game. Not just currently. I'll tell you, they're as good as. I think when they're done with their careers, they'll be as good as anybody that's ever played in the National Football League.
Yeah, I feel like that's already a given. What is Jamar in his 4th year?
Yeah.
3rd or 4th year?
4th year, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Joe's in his 5th year with me, and they're destined for greatness. They've been destined for greatness, and they're just they just go and prove it every Sunday.
So what kind of pressure, Logan, does it put on you when you have a guy like not only Jamar Chase, but you have T. Higgins, that you have two number 1 receivers that you have to deal with as a defense? What kind of stress does that put on you?
Yeah, it's hard because, a lot of the coverages you play, sometimes you'll roll a coverage based on where a number 1 receiver is. And if there's a number 2 receiver that's about just as elite as the number 1, it's a little harder to roll your coverage to the number 1 receiver. So it definitely throws different things at you from a game plan perspective as a defensive coordinator, because you can't just worry about one guy. You got to worry about multiple.
And then Chase Brown's coming on, man. He was this close on about 2 or 3 runs of busting big ones. He stresses.
He's about as explosive as it gets. When even watching on TV, it's like he's just shot out of a cannon. It's crazy.
Yeah, he stresses the defense now. He rushed for 58 yards. He had 6 catches for another 65. Now you're talking about 121, scrimmage yards on 20 touches. That's productive. And the thing I like about him too is, man, he's so much better at that double A gap stuff that Zimmer's known for, and it can cause headaches. He steps right up in there in that A gap, and man, he sticks his nose in there. And not only does he running good routes and catching the football, he's sticking his nose in there physically in blitz pickup as well.
Yeah, I feel like he's definitely gotten better in pass pro, especially from training camp. And he's always trying to learn ways that he can get better, like asking questions when we do drills against him in camp. Different things. And I know he worked a lot on his route running this offseason. I think obviously that has shown up. So when you're a tailback that can run as well as you can catch the ball out of the backfield, you're going to be putting yourself in a lot of positions to make a lot of plays.
So Trey Henderson gets another sack. He's got 12 and a half on the year, man. That bull rush, he took the tackle right into the quarterback. I mean, when Trey brings the bull, man, you're on skates. Yeah. You're on skates, and so you got him, and then Joseph Ossai gets a sack for the third straight game. How big is that to have Joseph Ossai, feeding off of Trey Henderson and Trey feeding off Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I feel like Joseph all year has been just so close to like getting his hands on a couple sacks here and there, and it just hasn't worked out yet. And so for him to get those, a sack in the last 3 games, I feel like is good for his confidence and his motor. I mean, if you watch the tape, he is playing 110% every single snap. Like, I mean, the same way he's rushing the passer is the same way he's running down a ball carrier that's 15 yards downfield. He's been playing his tail off, and I know I appreciate that. I've told him that. I think that's something that's not always common in this at this level, is guys playing with an effort like that. And he plays his tail off. So good things come to when guys play like that.
I know there's been some injury at the cornerback position, but I thought coverage was the winning football on a snap-by-snap basis yesterday in coverage. And I think the pass rush and the coverage, they kind of complement each other. I mean, it was a hand-in-hand deal there, I thought, in the passing game. I thought the passing attack was handled pretty well last night. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it was I feel like it started off slow.
Yeah. I
feel like, but as the game went along, like we got a little more comfortable, got our footing, and got stops, started to get some 3 and outs, which are huge, and get that ball back to our offense, let them go score more points.
And, Mike Zimmer gets a lot of credit, and rightfully so, for his pressure packages and his schematics. And, he tests your rules, and the recognition and communication is also important up front in the offensive line, and in coordinating that with the running backs and blitz pickup, or the tight ends if they're in there and blitz pickup, and picking up pressure packages. But Lou Anarumo, man, he's right there with any of them. I mean, he does a good job of scheming for you guys as well. And some of the things he had down the stretch of that football game caused some issues for the Cowboys, and you were getting some pretty good pressures with the help of Lou's scheme, weren't you?
Yeah, which was obviously crucial that late in the game to get pressure on the quarterback and not allow him to just sit back there, set his feet, and throw wherever he wanted to. I feel like it was thrown off his timing, and he was not able to throw accurately, and that obviously helped us get a win. So
finally, I know your season is over at this point in time, and but you've been here. It's the football team now is looking at a 5-8 record, still mathematically in the thing. Have a month left of games. What do you think? What do you do? I mean, everybody there's still reasonable. You're a professional. Everybody is playing for themselves. They're playing for their teammates. They're playing for their families. There's a lot of things to play for, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that at this point in the year, you got to find what you want to play for. I think that I think Jamar made a good comment on that about playing with memories and playing with these guys just all these last games, because you really don't know what's going to happen in the off season, and who's going to be here, who's not going to be here, who's going to just kind of the nature of playing in the NFL. And I feel like at this point, guys are just trying to find a way to get wins, because it obviously makes it a lot more fun.
No question about it. And Logan Wilson, you're a hell of a football player. I mean, you got tremendous physical attributes, but you also have that very, very high level football IQ, man. You understand the game of football and understand what your coaches are trying to get done. I mean, you don't just do the assignment because that's what you have to do. You are the one that understands why, why they have me do this. And those are the players that become great players and utilize their physical abilities to the fullest. And that's you, my man. I appreciate you taking time with us.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Take care of that knee. Have a good rehab.
I will.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.